welcome and thank you for joining me. Marchers joined in solidarity across the country in response to the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police. Those police officers have since been charged with his murder.
Hands up! Don't shoot!
But this is an all too familiar occurrence with black young men and women across this country.
You see the crowd is not just black people here, it's a lot of different people here representing for us as well. So we're going to stick to this and we're going to make sure that this happens until they change.
No justice! No peace!
On Long Island, known widely as one of the most segregated suburbs in America, has joined the cry for justice and equality.
Black lives matter!
We cannot express how moved we are by just seeing the amount of different people that do not look like my husband out here doing this for us, doing this for the better of the world.
After the killing of Michael Brown at the hands of former Ferguson, Missouri police officer Darren Wilson, the mayor of St. Louis was quoted as saying that this might someday be regarded as the turning point to improve relationships between the black community and law enforcement in the state of Missouri. That was August 9th, 2014. Well, since then, as we know, across the country, there's been some well-intended dialogue, but after the death of George Floyd at the hands of 4 Minneapolis police, we know there's still work to be done. The police commissioner in Suffolk County, Long Island, tells us that they are making significant strides in improving on the mistrust and that relationship between the minority community and law enforcement.
No justice! No peace! No racist! No peace!
The murder of George Floyd is loud and clear, and protesters want to be heard.
We can't even walk on the street without being afraid of a police officer, and I'm talking to police officers.
We are listening to the protesters. They are out peacefully making their voices heard, and my message really is, we hear you, and we're listening, and we want to continue the dialogue.
That dialogue, according to Suffolk County Police Commissioner Geraldine Hart, is to ensure community partners that she will do her part to strengthen the community relationships.
Long after the protests are finished, I want to make sure that we have those relationships in place where we can continue to talk.
According to police and court records, minorities on Long Island were far more likely than whites to be arrested and put behind bars for crimes that are equal to stop and frisk charges. And community advocates say that some are still fearful of being arrested.
In the past, I've actually experienced this actual type of treatment with the police myself.
Keith Owens, creator of Chef Keith and Kids and KO Cares, is on a mission to help improve relationships between Suffolk County Police and his communities. And he says although there is a rise in fear, there's also signs of cohesion and improved dialogue.
And when they come into the community now, the kids actually know them by first name. They give them hugs and everything. But when we first started this program, the kids wouldn't even come into the building.
We've had our community members sit with us to develop the program. We've had our Deputy Commissioner, Lewis, develop the program along with DOJ. And it's now a model for the country. They've come back to us and said, can we use this model at other parts of the nation? And can you go around and train the trainer in different departments? So we're very proud of that.
Commissioner Hart says constant communication with those between the ages of 15 and 25 is key.
We want to interact, in high school, in middle school, or younger, and make sure that we're out there interacting, and they see the police not just as enforcers, but really as community members with them and working together with them. So really thinking outside the box as a department, and how do we do things differently.
Commissioner Hart tells us that her police officers are held to the highest level of professionalism and are held accountable for all of their actions.
Breathe.
25 to 30 public defenders are amongst the hundreds of protesters that have been galvanized by racial injustice.
I'm angry because it's our people that are dying.
Seeing people of color suffer at the hands of authorities.
Without transparency, there's no accountability, and there's a lack of trust between the public and police.
Police reform is needed and needed now.
The march started at the front door of the courthouse, protesters decrying the death of George Floyd and related violent police misconduct. Members of the State Public Defender's Office stated that blacks make up 58% of the residents here. The rate of incarceration is 6 to 10 times higher than non-blacks.
This is every day. This is every day. This is children seeing it with their parents. This is cell phone videos being taken out like a neighborhood watch that is just silent and watching it. And how does this impact a kid? How does this impact people and parents being afraid to let their kids walk to school?
It has affected me tremendously. Currently, right now, I have a client who luckily is alive today, but was the victim of shooting by the police. And we are vigorously fighting for him.
The hostility brought upon them just because of where they live and what they look like is just insane.
Members of the Public Defender's Office tell us that people of low socioeconomic status have been taken advantage of for a long time, and this stops right now. Roughly 50 people, mostly college and high school students, stood on the corner of William Floyd Parkway and Montauk Highway shouting for police reform. They want their voices heard. And on that same corner, a sign that reads, "Vote blue, no matter who."
Vote blue, no matter who, means that we're voting for all Democrats. We want to remove all the Republicans, from our Congressman Zeldin and Peter King all the way up to the president.
Lisa Igisabo is a community activist that says the COVID-19 pandemic is slowing down the growth of voter registration. Both Republican and Democratic parties anticipate a substantial drop in the number of unaffiliated voters before the voter registration deadline. If Igisabo has her way, no minority will go unaccounted.
A lot of minorities feel that neither party has done anything for them to make change. But now this feels different. There's definitely something different about this time. And a lot of people are actually registering to vote. We have to come out, we have to change our elected officials so that way they represent us, especially with the laws, what's happening with Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
Hello, welcome back, and I just want to leave you with this. There's an obvious systemic racial issue that exists and needs to be fixed. The intentional disadvantaging of blacks and minorities, especially when it comes to creating meaningful relationships and employment just based on their identity. I myself, in my chosen field, have noticed that the local television station dedicated to covering news in my hometown in Nassau and Suffolk counties has not hired a black male journalist to cover relevant news in quite some time. That is very true, and that is a fact. These protests are American as apple pie. Everybody has the right to do it. But the protests are people who are hurt, angry, and in pain. But no more pain is felt by the ones who lost loved ones due to police misconduct.